Hello, everybody. Can anyone hear me? Raise your hand in the very back if you can hear me without the microphone. Okay, I'm not going to use it.
So
You would like me to use it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Recording. It's recording. Okay.
Yes.
Everyone, I'd like to piggyback off of what we did earlier this morning. Everyone stand up, take a deep breath, kind of spread out a little bit. I got this second to last before the end of the day, and we're after lunch now. So I want you to think of your very favorite jam or honey or peanut butter, Nutella, and pretend it's on this very top shelf. So reach up on your tippy toes. Reach for it, okay? You got it, and now let's spread out our hands, all right? And you're opening the jar. So trying to open it, someone else really did a doozy on it. So it's really like sticky with that honey. All right, now you open this, okay? So now dig really deep, really, you want a really good, ooh, that was yummy. Really good pinch of that honey or peanut butter, both hands, okay? Oh, quick, someone's coming. All right, close that lid again, close it really tight. You don't want anyone to figure out that you've had a lot of that honey or peanut butter. Okay, and now put it back on the very top shelf, up to tippy toes again. All right, whew, take a deep breath in. And let it out. Okay, take a seat. If you need to get up at any point and stretch your legs, it's not going to bother me. I'm going to start my presentation. So, my name is Katie. I come from Clemson. Go Tigers. And I am at Clemson University, and my research topic is consumer perspectives on fruit bagging. This is a small grower horticultural practice for southern organic tree orchards. So bagging fruit, this is a simple method used to protect from pests and diseases. And it's very popular among Asian gardens and more like productions. It's becoming more popular in the United States now, which is why we're kind of looking into this. So why fruit bags? On the first two tables, this one has the actual fruit bag. I like everyone to kind of pass it around, touch it, feel it. On this table is an information sheet on how it's actually put on the tree. So by the time I'm finished presenting, I hope everyone will be able to touch both of those things. So the bags are designed to completely encase the fruit, allowing for reduced chance of attack by fungi or insects. Let's see. So can anybody take a wild guess which batch of peaches, left or right, was grown in the bag? So when everyone who thinks that the left batch of peaches are grown in a bag to raise their hand. Okay, everyone who thinks that the right batch of peaches was grown in a bag, raise your hand. Okay, so these bags are translucent and allow for that full red flush. If you raised your hand for the left batch, you were correct. And if you raised your hand for the right batch, you were not correct, but this is a really good thing that happens. A lot of people cannot tell that the bags were grown, or peaches were grown in a bag. So it's a good problem to have. Thank you all for participating in that. The reason why you can't really tell is because these bags are just a thin layer of paper and then a piece of, like a layer of wax on the very outside, which protects for just one season from rain and weathering. So it's good that you guys can't tell. So Clemson University has done research and shown that these bags can be used in the southern, really hot and humid summers. And they can be used by organic or conventional farmers, and these peaches can then be marketed as a low residue peach for premium pricing. So the objectives of my master's degree are survey consumers so that farmers will have a more precise understanding of the market, and gather data from South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida to find out consumer preference on the bagged peaches themselves. So in a minute I'll talk about the tri-state project. But for now, my hypotheses are that consumers will be interested in buying organically produced peaches but will not be willing to pay more. So we're going to talk about the price difference in organic versus conventional. And that consumers in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida on farmers markets would be willing to purchase bags or bagged peaches with the knowledge that these bags had been fully recycled after they were used to grow the peach. Methods. So my methods are to attend farmers markets in South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, and use SurveyMonkey, which is an online platform, to complete these surveys in person and electronically. then repeat in summer 2020. So I have now done a full year of research, and this is my second year. So right now I'm just repeating everything. There's been a few little tweaks that we're doing, but basically I'm right in the middle of it. So we're not going to look at this survey right now for the sake of time. If you are interested in what the actual survey looks like, grab me afterwards and I can show you on my phone. It's really simple. It's 7 questions, really easy format. But now I'm going to talk about how we're doing this project with the Tri-State. So we're doing Clemson University, University of Georgia, and the University of Florida. This is a humongous grant on specifically the peach bags, and my consumer research is a tiny puzzle piece of what everyone else is really working on. So this is a picture of the post-harvest. So right now what's being done is the peaches are being bagged, and at the end of the summer, when it's time for harvest, the harvesters will rip off the bag, kind of either leave them even on the tree or on the ground, and collect the peaches and take them, whether that's to the market or to the store or to the consumers themselves. And then the orchard is left looking kind of trashy. And for South Carolina agritourism, I can't speak for the other states of Georgia and Florida, but I know in South Carolina, we're really trying to boost our agritourism business. And consumers don't like the look of the field after the bags are left in them. Since it is paper and wax, there's a tiny little piece of iron that connects to the branch or the petiole. So it's all biodegradable, which is the good news, but it's not the same as a leaf. So these leaves on the trees in the fall, they'll decompose over that winter. By the next year, you'll barely be able to tell that there were leaves there, right? So for the bags, it takes about 2 to 3 seasons or 2 to 3 years to fully decompose. So of course, eventually they will, and that's good news. But in the 2 years that they're decomposing, it doesn't look very nice. So that's why we have a compost experiment running. We've collected the bags after the first season, after the first use, because you really can't use them a second season. They've been weathered enough and were ripped off the tree that you needed a fresh new bag. So we collected the bags and we have them in a laundry mesh bag so that we won't lose them in big compost piles. So we realized that, yes, they're not going to decompose as fully inside the mesh bags. But we're looking at other things like maybe chicken wire that would be a little bit better. So we have 3 different methods, and they are the static pile, which is aerated, and then the turned wing row, and then also the control, which is underneath the peach trees themselves. The metrics originally were pictures of weights taken before, during, and after. Right now we're realizing that the weights are kind of all over the place, especially because it only runs 6 weeks and we don't have that many replicates, and that's not really good for statistics, as we all know. So we're thinking about having them tested, about like what kind of bacteria, what kind of molds, what kind of fungi are grown, looking at different things like a texture scale, maybe even a smell. Those are hard to distinguish, but we're looking at including some different methods in metrics in the future. So this picture right here is the static aerated, which is not turned, not moved. All it is kind of buried there for however long we have it sit. The middle is the turned wing row, which is turned every 2 weeks, and then the control. So right now, the static aerated is having the best results. We think it's because that pile gets the hottest, and those bags are not disturbed for the entire duration. So our preliminary results are that the static pile, as I was saying, are really decomposing quickly. You can see even at week 4 and 6, the color of the bag, wherever it's handed out over with you guys, it's white. And even at 2 and 4 and 6 weeks, you can see the color has changed and the iron is starting to decompose. Now the control has really not done much at all. The color is the same, the texture is the same, the weights are almost the same. So obviously something's happening within the piles. This is a really cool picture. It's actually one of my favorite pictures to show at presentations. This is actually after the 6 weeks are completed, and we found that the bags themselves were not fully decomposing. They weren't really doing what we wanted to do at 6 weeks. We decided to bury them in the very back of the compost pile, and this is right at 12 weeks. So we left them for 6 weeks without touching them, and this is a white mold growing on it. It's really exciting to see something happening. The texture is different, the smell is weird. So basically, things are happening. It just takes longer than 6 weeks for these particular bags. All right, so all treatments are tested for 6 weeks, as I've been saying, and we repeated this. I'm in the middle of the second round, which started in the fall and is carried over to the spring. And we're leaving the bags in the very back of the pile to decompose further, and then we'll start this again for round 3. So if you can tell, I know that people in the back may not be able to see the picture very clearly, but the very front of this, right here is how it starts out, the static pile and then the turned wing growth, and this is what it ends up looking like around 2.5 to 3 months later. And of course, this is filtered out by machine, but this is the ready-to-use soil amendment for anything that you can think of to use it on. Okay, so we're going to jump into survey results now. I had a total of 86 respondents. It was 6 total farmers markets and 3 states, so there was that tri-state project. And we're going to kind of blaze through this, but right here, the center column is most people sometimes buy organic grown peaches. So that's kind of the demographic we're dealing with. And we had a question about the use of organic pesticides, and we're thrilled to find out that yes, all of our consumers did know that organic pesticides were different than conventional pesticides. That was good news. Let's see, most people, again, this reflects the first graph, they prefer to buy organic peach grown in a bag. They most likely buy this when they found out about the bags and about the compost of the bags. So let's see, again, this was a really encouraging survey result that the most people were either somewhat or very important about the recycling or composting of the bags themselves, and they're concerned with these bags being sent to landfill. Okay, so again, this was going back to the previous presentation talking about the money part. Most of our consumers were not willing to pay more, or if they were, you can see in South Carolina, Georgia, I mean, they were like 3 or 4 cents more for a bag peach than an organic peach, which is really not significant. And again, for our total, we had even less, so they're more willing to pay for an organic peach than a bagged peach. So in summary, most of our consumers tend to buy sometimes conventionally and organically grown peaches. The majority of consumers were aware that organic pesticides were used to produce organic peaches. Many consumers said they would buy an organic peach that was grown in a bag after learning about the fruit bag practice. Almost all consumers considered recycling the bags or composting bags extremely important, and the average amount consumers would pay for an organic grown peach was more than what they would pay for a bagged peach. So my next steps are to repeat market surveys in 2020, attend more markets, specifically in Georgia and Florida. I was kind of heavily in South Carolina because that's where I'm located. This next summer, we're going to try and branch out a bit more. Target more diverse markets because I'm interested in, obviously, not just a socially demographic area that's very similar, where it's like the white upper middle class, and those results are going to be completely different than if I go to like a university setting where there are younger people and we don't make as much money, things like that. So diverse marketing is really important. And obviously continue the experiment compost. So I'd like to acknowledge my committee members and Clemson University, of course, our fruit research farm, and UGA Master Gardeners and State Farmers Markets, and